So in looking at Cam versus LP, this one is actually pretty interesting. This one is probably going to be a 50-50 game in my opinion. I would give the edge to Lamar Peters. He looks like he's a lot more intentional with his game and what he wants to do, and I think that that's going to create a more effective version of LP. He also looks to be in better shape, and I don't think Cam is going to, you know, put a foot on his neck in terms of not allowing him to breathe and testing his stamina, such as the case with Zay and Joseph Lewis. Like, they didn't let him breathe. I don't think Cam, just in terms of his play style, I don't think he's gonna be capable of doing that. So here's the thing with Cam and LP. They're both potential top 10 players. Cam, based on his resume, you would probably have him definitively in the top 10 at this current point in time. And LP, based on his losses, we probably had him in the top 10, and he's out of the top 10 now, but skill wise, he's definitely top 10. And this one is pretty interesting. They both run off a lot of points, and if you aren't playing superb defense, they're going to get hot, and before you know it, one is going to gap you, leave you at 20. The other is going to get 20 points in 2 minutes. Obviously, skill wise, I do think Lamar Peters is the better player and even the better ones player. But here's the thing: Cam in the past, I think it's been 3 times specifically, maybe 3 or 4 times, where he's beaten someone to where I thought that his opponent that he ended up winning against was the more skilled player through and through. So this was the case with Mike Harden the first time they played and the third time they played. And then it was the case with Lat. I thought Lat was definitively a better basketball player than Cam, and Cam won that game. And now recently with C4, I thought that was going to be like, I thought it was going to get bad for Cam, but quite the opposite happened. So, Cam is nobody to really play with. And then Lamar, obviously, is highly skilled, has the credentials. They both are extremely quick. But I think the difference in this game is going to come down to defense. I think LP wants the win a little more, and I could tell through Cam's demeanor that, he's saving his energy for the game, and he thinks he's going to pull off the upset. I could definitely tell. Lamar already thinks he's going to win by a wide margin, and Cam is like, nigga, you don't know what I have in the bag. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be a close game in terms of skill. And Cam is very efficient. So LP definitely has a lot to deal with, and he definitely has more pressure in this game in terms of the social aspect. And if LP shows up with a poor game plan, and if he shows up with the poor tendencies that he displayed during his game against Joseph Lewis and against Zay, then I definitely do think Cam is going to take home this game. If Lamar is serious about the shit that he's been talking recently, and the only reason why I believe him now is because through the little bit that I have seen in between his game from Zay and now, I do think that he has adjusted his game plan, not letting the defense set up, and he's a lot more intentional with the spots that he's getting to. And yeah, I think that if he shows up the way that he claims he's going to show up, then I think Lamar is going to take this game. But, there have been instances where Lamar says he's going to show up one way and he hasn't shown up that way. But with this, and if you don't believe so, totally valid. But I do think that he is going to show up the way that he is claiming he's going to show up. So I think that this is going to be like a 55-45 chance that Lamar wins, a 55% chance that Lamar wins, 45% chance that Cam wins. But if Lamar slacks at any point in time, those odds can definitely switch in the middle of the game. So just keeping those odds, at 55, that's what Lamar needs to focus on. Now, this video, if you'll notice by the title, is twofold. It's my predictions for LP versus Cam and LP versus Kel. And if LP loses to Cam, I will hold him accountable because he talked a lot of shit and a lot of trash before this game. throwing out wild score predictions, which I don't think anybody should really pay attention to. That's just hyperbolic. Not even, I think he's being serious, but you should take it as hyperbole. Like, when has anybody ever been like a top 10 talent 30 to 12, 30 to 10? Like, come on now, bro. But, anyways, if he does lose to Cam, uh, he will be held accountable for sure. Everybody should. I don't think he should lose to Cam based on how he's been talking and the way that we want his, potential to play out. But I wanted to make this video twofold and before the game versus Cam happens, because if LP beats Cam, everybody's going to have LP over Kel, because Cam at this point in time is a more competent 1v1 player than Kel and more dominant and more efficient. But I don't know. I've seen so many people root for Kel in his matchup against Kel versus LP. I don't know, and I've been watching this scene basically since its inception, a couple months after, right? What makes y'all think that Kel is going to win against LP? I'm sorry, like we can take the LP that showed up against Joseph Lewis and Uncle Scoo, probably the worst versions of LP, and he's still beating the today version of Hoodie Kel. Like, are you serious? Like, people are trying to base it down on, well, on paper, Lamar gives up jump shots and Hoodie Kel works off the jab 3. And I mean, like, okay, Lamar also blocks jumpers. Like, Lamar has way more in his bag. Faster, stronger, better shooter. He scores at all 3 levels. And I think that his defense is going to be very potent against Kel. I think that Kel's, his east to west movement, he does a lot of step throughs and tough shots. I think that that's going to be very easy for LP to read and to get a good block or 2 or 3 on a lot of Kel's jumpers. I genuinely believe that the only strength Kel has is that jab 3. And if it's not falling, Lamar is definitely going to run off those points. And I think that Lamar is going to that's going to be like a 30-21, 30-23 kind of game. Cam versus LP, I think that that's going to be like a 30-25 sort of game, 30-27 sort of a game, unless one of them runs off. And then it becomes like a gap. But I don't understand I think it's because LP talks shit and people get mad and disappointed at him for losing. Like, people are like, oh, LP's trash. Oh, LP always talks trash and loses. And it's like, you forget who he's losing to. No, you shouldn't be talking trash and losing. That's never a good look. But he lost to Scoob and Zay. And there's like, even Davo threw away the game between Joseph Lewis and LP. They need to run that back, by the way. But he officially lost clear cut to Scoob and Zay. Those two and Nas are the best of the best on the scene. So I don't know. That doesn't it's fun to laugh at him after he's lost, but that doesn't mean that he's trash and like a caliber of player to Hoodie Kel, that's equivalent to Hoodie Kel, is going to beat LP. I think that's a ridiculous statement. I think that if you know ball, you would have Lamar winning that game, regardless to if he loses to Cam or wins to Cam. And if he beats Cam, y'all need to stay on that side, bro. I still want y'all to root for Hoodie Kel, even if he beats Cam.